I can easily see sledges, roller bearings, big logs, and the Nile or waterways to move the large stones around. How they got them up to the upper levels of the big pyramids and the big buildings is open to debate. I have my own ideas. I still think that there is room for ramparts to be looked at properly. I do think that the jacking system would be very interesting to look at to see whether they could actually lift them up that way. I tend to think so. On the other hand, looking at the way that the construction techniques were used, it's surprising that arches weren't more used. They were towards the later dynasties, in other words, at the end of the reign of Egypt. But early on, nothing. There were corbelled arches, in other words, layers of brickwork jutting out as you went up. And these were often cut to look like arches, but they weren't. They were corbelled. There was also raking, in other words, two stones laid upon each other and the inner surface cut so that it looked like an arch. But the actual use of stones laid as visures up around a formed unit, it was not often done. There were sort of complications of several very thin arches put together to form a master arch later on.